thing that we're seeing though is most of the sellers that are selling in this time, the market's down, so it's not a good time to be selling. Just in general, I can't speak to as much the single family space, but as far as multifamily assets, which is what we're in, it's not a good time to be selling. The market is definitely down, so these are forced sellers. So that obviously creates a little bit of a different dynamic. And also not only are they forced sellers, but they're also kind of the first-ish of the bunch to actually have to sell. So um, of course there's a great range with the types of properties that you can see that are selling right now, but we're seeing some like financial distress can also lead to physical distress. So definitely not all the properties that we're looking at are super run down, but that also is a theme that I think we're going to be seeing more and more of because as these owners who aren't able to make their mortgage payments, they're not going to be putting more money into the property, and it also decreases morale at the property level. So, um, it hasn't gotten too scary at this point. But I think that we're just going to see more and more of that as we head deeper into 2024.
Yeah, I mean, I think we've talked about this a lot on this show too. And I don't want to go too far in the weeds here, but there was a lot of bridge debt being taken out in 2020 and 21, which was short-term debt. So like 18-month, 2-year, or sometimes 3-year debt. And a lot of times interest only. And we're seeing a lot of that come due. And what's interesting is a lot of those notes were 3.25 to 3.75, maybe interest rate. And now they're probably in the sevens, right, to refinance. And so it's pushed people in this position like you're describing to have to sell
Hmm.
or refinance in a position where they likely can't afford debt service. And so we're seeing this trend coming into place, and I think that's really interesting for the market. Now, you know, if you're an owner, I mean, that's a scary situation to be in, right? Like I will say some of our properties are far outperforming what we thought and some are underperforming. That's just a reality, I think, of the business. But you're seeing now that, okay, for the last 10 plus years, well, more than that, let's say 20 years for that matter, things were cruising along pretty good. And now all of a sudden we're seeing a little bit more of a struggle, really in acquisitions, like you said. I mean, trend is way down on purchases, like you said, but it'll be interesting to see what happens in the next year.